Well, good morning everybody. How are we today? Robert Mack, Bangkok 46, how you doing? I've got a few other people there. Peter Kolb, how you doing? Nice bunch of lunatics to stay away from and enjoy retirement. Okay, so this was a suggestion that, look, I've actually been wanting people to give suggestions because really the whole idea of a live stream is to engage the audience in what they want to talk about, because you see my life every day when in the video channel and the videos we make and the sort of things we talk about. So, like what I wanted to do is spin the whole thing around. I don't want to talk about the virus. I don't want to talk about shit that's going on in the world, like what do you call it, the Black Lives Matter and all that sort of stuff. I want to talk about subjects that might be interesting. Now, this one here, the one we've got today, are expats growing old gracefully or reliving their youth living in Thailand? This is something that Stephen Monash suggested earlier in the week, and of course I was expecting him here, but of course such is life. We all have real lives to lead. He started talking about this thing last night. I'm going, Stephen, can we wait till tomorrow? But he's probably still in bed, or he's gone to the shops or something. Who knows what he's done? He needs to set his alarm. That's what he needs to do. Anyway, so yes, Robert, Joe Elliott, good morning, how you doing? So, I'm going to throw it out to you and, throw it out to the audience and to see what's your input on this one here. I've got some bullet points down below, tattoos, girlfriends, recklessness, motorcycles, language, everything's new, sense of urgency, Thailand centric, YouTubing, retirement, what's that, forever a tourist. These are some of the bullet points we sort of, we muddled through, earlier in the week when we're sort of talking about what to talk about. But as I said, it was Stephen's topic, so I really wanted to have Stephen's to start with it. Greetings from greetings from Soy 4 Nana. Are you actually over here, Peter, at the moment? I wouldn't have thought you'd be here. Greetings from Soy 4. Greetings. But are you over here at the moment, Peter? I don't know. So, we had our first meetup. I think last Tuesday. Oh, was it Tuesday? One day, I can't remember. Anyway, I put it on the video. That was the back to Bangkok video we put out earlier in the week. So getting back to this whole story of, of course I got a nice little splash screen to start with. Where is it? Just to really sort of get the juices flowing. How to tell you if you're old? You gain 30 pounds overnight, or what's that? 15 kilos. You'd rather sleep than go out. Everything hurts. Comfort comes from style. Comfort comes before style. John V, how you doing? You have a favourite spatula. Okay, favourite spatula. I don't know what that really. Everything feels like a chore. College students look like 12-year-olds. You're always annoyed. That's a good one. It's just so hard. In the West, coming from Australia, you usually get an idea of how old people look. This is the first point I'd like to make. And then you come over here to Thailand, and the 25-year-olds look like the 15-year-olds, and and you go, oh my God, it's just so hard to keep track of this stuff. No wonder we sort of burn ourselves out when we're over here in Thailand. But yeah, so what we want to do is talk about the whole idea of retirement in Thailand, and the sort of things that people come here for. So for me, I came to Thailand for two primary reasons, or three reasons, or maybe four. One, My first reason was, of course, Chanya. Right, Chanya. She didn't like Australia. She felt ostracised. She's done 15 weeks in Australia, so she did a trip there as a tourist for 10 weeks. Then she came back 2 years later, or nearly 2 years. Was it 2 years later? Well, let's just say 18 months later she came back again to try it again for another 5 weeks. Out of the two of those sort of things, she realised that she didn't fit into Australian society because Australia are all a bunch of arseholes and transgender. You take your life in your own hands when you walk out in the street, and with all the sort of dockerism and the hate that you get in towards that sort of thing, she just didn't feel safe. So there was no point in sort of bringing her to Australia. So that really left it for me to move to Thailand. So that was reason one, was for Chanya. Two, I didn't like Australia much either, as becoming a real nanny state. Three, Stephen's here, don't worry. So number three was there was a straw that broke the camel's back, as they say. Like the firm I was working with, I'd been with them for 15 years, or almost 15 years, and you just felt like you were just a number. They no longer, you no longer gain the respect. I grew that company from, I joined them when they were 25 staff. After 15 years in the driver's seat of the technology, I just felt like you're just being taken advantage of. They didn't give me a pay rise, they didn't give me a bonus, which was expected, and I said, "Fuck it, I'm out of here. Don't need your money." That was my sort of story, but. That's only my story. I didn't come here to grow old gracefully. That's one thing for certain. I came here to be with my girl. But anyway, so Stephen has joined us. So I'm gonna let Stephen start the floor with this one here. Go on, go for it, Stephen.
Oh God, thanks for that.
Yeah.
Morning, everybody. What was the topic? So it's just expats, are they growing old gracefully or reliving their youth in Thailand?
It was your topic.
Observing what I see on YouTube and everything like that. It seems like it's a difficult thing to juggle. Am I retiring to just, when I say grow old gracefully, like not do something you probably wouldn't do in your own country? All of a sudden, you see these guys reliving their youth. They get tattoos. They, grab a lady. Become easy rider.
Are you talking about me again?
No, not necessarily. Okay, yeah, probably.
Probably, yeah.
But well, you admitted it yourself. You didn't come here to retire gracefully. You came here to do all the things you've wanted to do, and that's nothing wrong with that. But I'm just sort of saying that's the question. Like it doesn't have to be a negative thing.
No, it's just really spinning out the whole idea of why retiring, and in Thailand specifically, retiring early in Thailand, or even sort of in the case of if you can swing it with a marriage visa or something else, getting over here in your 40s and living your second life. I know coming from Australia, as I said, for the last 15 years of my life, I just felt like I was an indentured slave. Well, not really. The first few years at that last company were actually quite good.
We all are.
Yeah. We all are. It was quite good. They paid me really well. I went through my divorce in 2008. We just basically, we drifted apart in our relationship. Although I still love the girl, as she's a really good friend. We spent 20 years together. Basically, I was the adventurous type. She was the stay-at-home mother. Our daughter had got to the age of 17 at that stage, and Angie could just no longer really feel that she was part of the family because we weren't having any more children. and she wanted to. That was her thing. Her thing was looking after children and looking after the house. She really didn't want to, like we were a single income family. We would have done a lot better in our life if we went to a dual income sort of type of arrangement, like most people have to in Australia. But I was paid well enough that my wife could stay at home and do all the chores and do all the housework and do all the cooking and do all the that's the stuff that like that I'm out there slaving away in a job and she's at home taking care of the house. It was a nice arrangement.
It's not to suggest that expats reliving their youth is a bad thing. I mean, it can be a really good thing, but it can be a bad thing. It's a dichotomy that runs through it. Like if you go there and you live like a tourist, so that's one example of not growing old as probably you would if you retired in Australia, or where you're just spending like you would as if you were a tourist, and all of a sudden you're broke and you've lost all your money, and it's time to go back home again. I mean, is it easy for people to adjust to this new way of thinking, this new lifestyle? Do we need to sort of temper it with a little bit of sanity sometimes and say, well, listen, hey, I'm living here now. I can't do what I did when I was on holiday. But also, too, I give the example of my friend, and there's many examples. And again, it's not a judgment; it's just an observation. I think certainly the pace of living, your zest to do things, to go somewhere, to buy something. It's almost like you're on a you've been released from the chains of the West, and you just want to say, okay, now it's like you're on a time limit or something. You have to do everything before. It's like a bucket list. And would that be the way you would normally behave when you're at home, retiring there? And again, not good or bad, but I had a friend of mine who got married, had a baby, and died in 1 year. But he wasn't in the retirement age bracket. He was probably in his 30s. And you're now seeing the other thing now too is it's not seeing people retiring in their late 50s or early 60s. Now you're seeing people retiring much younger, becoming digital nomads, so they're semi-retired. You're seeing people now retire in their mid-20s, literally, and it's people who have gone to Southeast Asia because the cost of living is a third of what it is in their own countries, and they're sort of like retirement's become a redundant sort of word. It's lost its meaning as we've known it to be. It's become really diluted. It could apply to all age brackets now, and I think some of it's driven by economic necessity, and what that denies you in the West if you don't have it. Economic means it denies you many things you do. When you come to Thailand, it just opens all these doors. Now I can travel. Now I can, get a young bride on the back of, as I said, of my motorbike. Well, become easy rider. Let's go and get a tattoo. All of a sudden, you can get a cheap apartments. It's all there for you, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
But I just asked the question though, whether some of these guys like our age, late 50s and all that, it's a bit comical sometimes when you see it. I had a mate who went over there and he got all these tattoos. He'd never had one in his life. He married a bar girl, probably of the worst kind. Came back to Australia, had twins, and then they got divorced. And then he was back there again, and he ended up getting shot in the arm because he was dating a Myanmar of one of his best of a Thai guy, the lady he met at the golf club, and it just seemed it was just chaotic lifestyle. It was almost reckless.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Yeah, recklessness is one thing. Anyway, just sort of saying hello to some of the other people that have joined us. Andy Stubbs, g'day. How you doing, Andy? And Pat Thai, Swaddy Club. And who also? Stephen Munner, she's just joined us there. So back to John Visa's reply in there. Sort of, it's difficult for one person for a person to commit long term to. As people grow and change, sometimes people do not grow together. I was the, for want of a sort of sense of a better thing, I came from a very interesting background in my 20s. I was really out there on the edge with a lot of things. I've talked
totally
about that.
Self-inflicted.
totally self-inflicted. I chose to have, I chose Angie as my partner because I wanted to, at that stage there, get out of that lifestyle and settle down and sort of, see how the other half lived. And that was when I was...
tried to conform.
Yeah, I tried to conform when I was 27. Like, I was just completely off the edge, I don't want to go into it in the live stream, but like we'll talk about it. Anytime you want to come and chat about these things on the Discord channel, we're always too happy to sort of talk about these sort of things. And if you want to be here, I can see that Oggie's joined us. I can see Blues Inc. We'll ask them in their opinion of this particular topic very shortly. But me, I did the 20 years as a regular person, and I saw my life ebbing away. I was when I met, so when we got divorced, I was 47, and I'm going, shit, what happened to at least what happened to my life in the last 10 years? Because the first 10 years, and that's when I'm sort of doing all the making money sort of thing, and I had ran my own business, and I was out there on the edge. That was how, going from, I suppose, the underbelly lifestyle in Australia, you might call it that, moving into being
it's called a beer
being a regular home guy, doing the right things. I was out there on the edge, and the fact that I decided to run my own business, that was something that sparked more into life into it. I would have done really well.
Would you describe it as a midlife crisis?
Well, in the 30s, when I was in my 30s, I had a midlife crisis, and I wanted to do more. I just, Angie was home, and we had our child, and I was, I was working for, in the plastics industry as a production supervisor, production foreman, whatever they call it, production manager. I was running sort of basically the show there, and doing all the daily tasks that was required for, that kept me, kept my mind active, but didn't have the dollars behind it. That's why I moved into the computer side, because I was moonlighting as a computer engineer, to make ends meet initially, and one thing led for another, and I said I need to do something and take the risks. So so 34 years old, taking risks, start my own business, ran that for 6 years. The one thing they don't tell you about when you're running a business is the fact that you also need to be a banker. But like bankers get all these little extra benefits and tax compensations and everything else. But as a business, you don't. But to have the good clientele, like the 5-star corporate clients, you need to give them 30-day accounts, because that's how they operate. So you're sitting there running a business on shoestrings because you've got $50,000 tied up in 30-day accounts that are stringing you out to 90 days. Always difficult.
There's no blueprint. There's no blueprint on how to do all this, of course. There's no guidebook that says this is the way you must be when you decide to give up the West and head for Thailand, for example. There's no blueprint on this, and so I think a lot of people, as I said, are just doing it instinctively, and the best laid plans go completely out the window. All of a sudden they arrive and they've got all these beautiful women. The bar scene's completely different from, as we know, bars in Australia, where nobody can talk to you for up to 7 hours a day, and as long as you're in there, they will not talk to you. You're lucky if the barmaid talks to you. You get to Thailand, and all of a sudden you're in this very social situation. And as I say, the best laid plans now go out the window because you're no longer doing what you would probably have done in Australia if you retired. You're now among it. You're a lot older. You're still got the aspirations of a 25, 30-year-old, and now your body simply can't do it, of course, but you're still thinking like you can. And you can see people crash and burn, but you can see people actually bloom. They just. I think you're much happier, for example, than
Well, yeah, yeah.
than you
Basically,
were.
I'm catching up on that 20 years that I was pretty much in that servitude, situation. You're serving everybody else, you're not serving yourself, which again is part of the whole,
Yeah, I agree
coming
with
of
that. There's a lot of civility there.
yeah,
Like I'm working to make somebody else rich. I'm in the same boat now. I'm basically a working poor. I'm just spinning my wheels. I'm not really making any progress, and the cost of living is not helping.
yeah,
But these are things. There's lots of variables that drive us to do it. But I think the trouble is now is even the well-to-do people from all walks of life are now heading towards the shores of Southeast Asia. Now, is that bubble going to burst there? Is there going to be too many of us? Too many? The cat's out of the bag now. You've got too many people seeing that as the Shangri-La, the panacea to all their problems.
well,
Where next? Where's the next place going to be?
yeah. Well, John V. So I think some of the guys would go off the deep end through temptation. There's a lot of temptation over here.
They do, yeah.
And the temptation it is part of Thai culture as well. Like there is this what would we used to say, sexual freedom that we don't sort of see in the West. The girls, a lot of the girls in the bar sort of scene are very promiscuous. And when it comes down to the fact that, like in Australia, a night out a night out in Sydney, right, as a single guy is going to cost you $200. Whereas coming over here, a $200 night out, you could probably take a couple of girls home with you, and have the time of your life. It's a completely different sort of, it's something that the average Westerner, who might be out there on the edge and out there partying, they just get a different aspect to that whole lifestyle, which is, in one sense.
You don't necessarily have to partake in all. You don't necessarily, and I don't think it's as prevalent as people think. They think, oh, all these old guys are going over there having sex with everything that moves. I don't think a lot of them are, from my experience. A lot of them just wanted to sit in the bar. They wanted the company, and they were just lonely. Half them, like I've got several friends who are in the early 60s, couldn't have sex if they wanted to. They're just happy to be around people. You're so isolated in the West. And as I said, when you get to Thailand, the last thing you want to do is be sat inside. You want to get out and you want to experience this phenomenon of just friendly people and relaxed lifestyle. I think the danger today is that with so many expats coming over and the Thai willingness to give everything that they think that the foreigners want, it's changing some of the things. We're seeing now some of the things that we're running away from in the West starting to appear in Thailand. More regulations, more rules, because I think they think that's what we want. Yeah. And they're trying to appease that.
Now,
I wish they'd go back to the way they were.
Yeah, Andy's made a good point there. I've seen some older guys in Pattaya every day sitting at the bars all day. Very sad to see. And this is, here's me. I'm enjoying a great lifestyle, great family, and everything else. But this is the other side of this, or the flip side of this. Growing old gracefully, reliving youth. There is a third line there, or just wasting away, wasting your life to, I don't know, how would you describe it? But there's a sad lot of people that seem to, I don't know, they think they came over here and expecting more, but, and really, part of this is really, you need to make an effort to be part of a new society. And I was out there, and we finally got a chance to go back and have dinner at Shop Steaks, Peck's Shop Steaks, because he's now 5 miles away. So we've been sort of limited in our ability to go and have a sit down meal. And we're one of the best chefs in Bangkok, living in the suburbs here. It was absolutely great, but you get these other people that just they don't know how to live again. I think that's the point that I'd like to make is, if you're going to come over here, there's a certain mental attitude you need to adopt, which is you need to know how to live, because if you don't if you've lived vicariously through the TV for the most of your life, right? When you come here and you can't watch the TV because you can't watch, you don't understand the language. What do you got left? You got sports on TV, which, quite frankly, can get very boring very quickly. And then once that's done, what do you got? Well, unless of course you know how to apply yourself and make a life for yourself, you are going to sit down and you're going to waste away at a bar.
Yeah, it's an interesting phenomenon. Like, the first thing you see, some of these middle-aged men who have their youth has long passed them by, and they go over there, they dip their head in a bowl of hair dye, so they've got their hair becomes jet black, and then they've got the little runnings coming down their forehead, and then they rush out and they get a colourful tattoo on an arm that's since lost all its muscularity and sagging, hairy arm, and they put a horrible tattoo on there, and then they go out, and of course you've got to go to the Honda shop because you need a motorbike, and then you find a lady 30 years younger than you. You ride around telling war stories at bar. I mean, I guess that's the worst scenario, right? That's the worst scenario where they've just simply, they can't get out of tourist mode, and they can't get out of PopeKael mode, they can't get out of lost youth mode. They just can't get out of it. They can't escape that for some reason. That's it. For those who have a more balanced lifestyle, who try to assimilate into Thai culture, and embrace a broader spectrum of what Thai culture has to offer, rather than just creating this bubble in a bar somewhere in Pattaya, I think they can make something of it. They really can.
John V sort of saying, yes, I think mortgages hold people back. This is obviously the other sort of side of it. Why aren't more people doing this breaking out of the hole? We live a life of indentured servitude. You got your mortgage debt, you've got your credit card debt, you've got your kids' schooling debts,
an A3 sheet of bills to pay.
Then one day I wake up and take stock of the stock and realise the current life is not what and that's the thing. We all start out, fresh and starry-eyed. I'm an adult now, and I can do this, I can do that, I can do everything.
And worse, Warren, if I work hard, I'll be rewarded.
Well, that's the biggest lie of all, isn't it?
Yes.
Working for yourself, you can make a definite go of it, but it's damn hard work, or you get held back by as I said, in my case, people holding the shoestrings by not paying their bills. Now they call you up, Warren, we got an emergency out here. Well, I got an emergency. I need to pay my bills. Your account's 90 days old. I'm going to have a check when I get there. Yeah. Well, the accountant will have a check there when you get there. No worries. And you get there, and the accountant's gone out to lunch. Oh my God!
See, the millennials now, but the younger brigade now are ahead of the game. They've seen us all work for 40, 50 years in jobs that really haven't made us that much richer, and they said, "Sod that! We're going to become digital nomads. We are going to travel and work. We're going to have it all." Because if we sit in Australia waiting to get the money to do what we want to do, we could be like them. So you can definitely see a change in the various age groups now. They're not doing what we did now, and we're calling them all millennials. We're actually resenting them because we say you need to do what we did because it'll make us feel better to see you suffer as well.
Justify where we went wrong.
I mean, the younger brigade are waking up now. They're saying we're not going to work for the man for 40 years and then say, okay, time to live our lives. They're living with a sense of urgency now. They want it now. You see them on, a good example would be Adam Swords. He's a vlogger on YouTube, and he's just living in America now, California, and he's it's opened up all sorts of doors for him, rather than just stay in England and wait for England to actually improve your life. And they just find that it's not improving. It's just getting worse and worse. You've just got to be up and about, so it's a it's a phenomenon now of people, literally getting up and traveling to places to make themselves feel better. It's almost a therapeutic need.
Yeah.
to do it.
So this good a special hello to Don again. He's joined us. G'day, Swaddy Cup. And of course we've got also there Jorgen. Good morning, 5 a.m., 5:18 a.m. there in sort of sunny I don't know, Jorgen. He's from Denmark, isn't it? So how you all going, boys? Who also we got?
Jorgen made a good point. He says, "I prefer to avoid the places where most Farangs come." I think that's a good point. You carry on that anxiety from the West once you hit Thailand, and you either congregate to where there are more Falangs because it's a feeling of security, or you continue your with your anxiety that you had in the West. You avoid Falangs. You want to be with Thai people. You want to be anywhere but near things that remind you of the West. You want to escape that completely.
Yeah, John V's got to make a good point here. Also, a lot of people leave retirement to the last minute in Australia, and then their time runs out through sickness. Again, this is an attitude. I think we've been falsely programmed into this security, the fact that when we get old, that somebody's going to look after us. Okay, that might work for Thai families. We're actually going through a bereavement. Started 2 days ago. Chanya's father's father passed away 2 days ago, and we've been doing the whole, what do you call it, the whole wake thing, and it's a 3-day ritual that the Thais go through. But it also makes you realise that we are on a finite time scale here, yet. The governments of the world are sort of saying, retirement at 65. So when we were 20, we could retire at 65. That'll be good. Yeah, well, we'll have a great time when we're 65. And now the governments are saying 67, 68, 70, or as you sort of said, Stephen, work till you die, right? But
well, you're compelled to work now because if you don't work,
unless of course you do. Yeah, unless of course you do something and change something. The whole point of this is something I've always tried to sort of, instill in people who are asking questions, why and how do you get around it? You've got to do something different, right? You can't do the same thing as everybody else and expect different results. What you've got to do, and I look, there was one of the guys that joins us here on the Discord, Savage Grimble, Grimble. He tells me, he's 29 years old and he's basically semi-retired. How did he do it? Well, from the first time he was able to get a paycheck, he was putting 80% of that paycheck away, and lived like a pauper. He lived off the street, lived off scraps, lived off, he basically, what he needed to survive, right, is what he got to spend. Right, and everything else got put away and got invested, right, and within 15 years he was able to sort of, effectively to say, stuff you guys, I've got enough money, I can do what I want now, right? And he now writes books. Again, he's a digital nomad. He still works, but he works for himself. Writing, I don't know what he writes, but he writes little pieces and publishes them online through the simple print processes. But he can do that because he broke out of the mold. In my case,
people are trying to establish little ecosystems. They've realised now that we can't trust governments. We can't trust the corporations. We are just commodities, and it paints a really negative picture. But the reality is that the best way to go now is to carve out some little niche for yourself as best you can, and try to survive in this world which has essentially become greedier and it's the bane of capitalism. Everybody now is realised, and especially the younger ones, like Grindball, that they don't want to work for 30, 40 years working for the man anymore. And it's not even worthwhile anymore. The corporate greed and elitism has created the largest gap we've ever seen throughout the world now. And when you have things like the COVID virus and superannuation's being destroyed, and and you're told just keep going, son, keep going. A lot of people now are really, really unhappy, afraid, living in fear, and it really does, sort of stymie them. They're paralysed almost into doing something about it because it's it's not an easy thing to do. It's not an easy transition to make unless you have the security of a lot of funds, unless you have you like us, we're a bit older, we have some money. But imagine being in your youth now, and this is the world that you're living in, where you never know where your next dollar's coming from. You know that it doesn't matter if you've studied hard, because efficacy no longer exists. Everybody just lies to everybody. We're all just trying to survive. And
that's part of it.
We are in a world depression right now. People don't realise it, but I think we are.
Yeah.
It's only those who have spare money or spare change that are seemingly doing it better than others. But if you took away that finance, that they would be exactly the same. They would be lost, because we have lost human decency now in the world. You know, we've lost that thing.
Yeah, we can go into a whole different subject on that one. Yeah, where is the moral ethics of the society gone? It's the rich get richer, the poor just get shafted, and the middle class are kept scared that they won't become the poor. Right, that's how
There's
whole
a lot of
system
mental
works,
anguish out there now. There's a lot of mental anguish, and I put myself in that group. There's a lot of mental anguish out there where people, and you start to compromise yourself. We spoke about it earlier, what Grindball did and all that, and he ate noodles for fucking 10 years or whatever he did. But what I'm saying is you start to compromise yourself, and and you really you have to be very, very strong to do that. You have to have a lot of discipline. You have to you need familial support. You need some sort of community. There's a lot of things lacking that make the happiness.
Well, here's one thing that
indexed what it is.
Here's one thing that I've identified with, and that's comparing Australian society and Thai society. Okay, so I've talked about this before. We have B and Ben. That's Chanya's brothers, and B's the older one. Ben's the younger one. Both of them still don't have a job, right? But they are still part of the family, and family is a very tight thing. Okay, so mother and father have separated, and I still to this day, after 10 years, 11 years, don't know whether it's actually been divorced or legally divorced, because he's still here, he still comes around. She just got sick of him 10 years ago, and just 15 years ago, and said, well, you're not being what I married for, so I will look after myself, you look after yourself. So Pa has a little shack around on the back of the temple, and Ben and B lived there with him, and they make do with, I don't know how they may do that. There's no regular income, but they live a very modest lifestyle. But they're still part of family, and this family unit. B would be 30? Chanya's 36, so B will be 38 years old. Still doesn't have a regular job, but he still gets by, and he still seems to be fairly happy in his life. Right, still part of the family. Whereas look at the Australians growing up, it's like kids get to 16 or 18 years old, and the first thing they want to do is they want to get the hell out of the house.
Yeah, there's so much dysfunctionality in families.
What is that?
It really is.
What is your parents forcing you? Is the family unit so broken, right? That blood doesn't matter anymore. Most children these days, the ones that we're talking about, the millennials or the Gen Zs, they could do a lot better if they just stayed at home. My daughter, she stayed at home until she was 25, and then realised that the commute to the city and everything else was, hampering her lifestyle, and she basically shacked up with two other girls, and they live again, I don't know what sort of life they live, but that's how they deal with it. But in Australia, that's I think in the sort of inner west of the city there, they were paying, for a 3-bedroom townhouse, they were paying $600 a week as rent. Right, so it's $200 each. So my daughter, she was only sort of like a PR personal assistant. Sort of, she did study in psychology. I guess I was a pretty good case study for her thesis, I'm sure. But aside from that, she then moved into the corporate sort of area, and she's only making $600 a week or something back then. I don't know what she's making now. After tax, it was $400. So $200, half of what her take-home pay was going on rent. over here, like as a retirement sort of angle, you know, you can, you know, like we've got a 3-bedroom townhouse, and it's what it's what I think $300 a month. I don't know, I can't remember what exactly it equates now. You know, it's you know, it's only a rental property. Let me just quickly just do those numbers again, so I just be accurate on the numbers. Australian dollars falling again.
The main thing is, if you do retire in Thailand, don't wear matching T-shirts. You know,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah. Yes, that's
don't.
$424 Australian now we pay for a month's rent. So, you know, it's a sort of comparison of some of the living costs, which is what I've been sort of, you know, doing on the videos in the last couple of videos, the one that came out on Tuesday and the one that comes out early next week. You know, it's just showing more of the cost scenarios. You know, it's not a cheap thing to live here in Thailand if you want to live like a Westerner and have all the flashy cars and the, you know, and
Certainly,
and
if you want to
show
buy
off.
Western food, it's not no.
Yeah, that's right.
Jesus Christ! I saw that stands out to me in Thailand. Like, there's just a funny little story. Like, you know, having your priorities right. Like, people will go in, they'll spend 1,000 baht easy at a bar, not think anything of it, and they'll go down and they'll see some cheese or an apple, and they'll say, "Oh, bloody hell, not buying that! It's 100 baht." Now,
Yeah, for an
it is
apple, yeah.
ridiculously priced. But they'll happily sit there and drink 1,000 baht worth of beer and think nothing of it, right?
Yeah.
But the thought of spending 100 baht on an apple, oh my God!
But is that what is it? Is that a peer group pressure? Like I've never.
You say, well, I can get that in Australia for a third of the price. I'm not going to, you know, get ripped off and buying an apple. I'll sit in a bar and spend 10 times the amount and drink alcohol.
Yeah, well, that's just people are stupid when it comes to that stuff. But yeah, like, you know, it all comes back to this thing here. You know, what are you, you know, like growing old gracefully? I don't know. I don't think anybody these days can grow old gracefully. You know, maybe that was the thing of the 30s and 40s. You know, you could look
maybe
forward
grow
to
old sensibly. Grow old sensibly. Or, you know, just. You know, you don't, like, if you're going to retire in Thailand, okay, you've said it yourself, Warren, you've got more time now. You don't have to see every destination with, you know, every single day I'm not quoting anybody, but a Sunday fun day. You know, you're not going off to you have to be somewhere every single day like a big kid. I mean, pace yourself. Not telling anybody how to live, but I mean, it's certainly something I wouldn't be wanting to do. I want to relax now. I want to just slow down. I want to, you know, everybody's different. I appreciate it. But this is the whole question we're asking. You do see, and they're quite funny, some of them, you do see some funny things happening to expats who end up in Thailand. And as I said, you could sum it up in a sentence. Dip your head in jet black ink, get a tattoo, get a motorbike, grab a girl, put her on the back, and then start shitting on the West.
Start
basically.
YouTubing.
You know? I don't know. And yeah, you've got to be a vlogger now. You've got to be a vlogger.
Yeah, that's right.
If you can't get a pro, you've got to get a GoPro, and you've got to, you know, you've got to go around and you've got to film everyone and everything, and then of course you've got to, you know, get matching T-shirts and you've got to put a smug smile on your face.
You're big on the matching T-shirts.
Oh, you know, I'm just trying to sum it up. It's funny in a way.
Yeah,
it's quite funny, you know, and then the broken tie and. You know, you can see all these traits that emerge that you could almost describe the typical expat now that goes there in a particular age group. I find the millennials disturbing, but that's one of my prejudices, you know, because they're doing what I wish I had done, you know. They're just reminding me of the cage that I'm still in, you know. They've seen the writing on the wall now. They're not making fat old men with white hair rich anymore. They've said, fuck you. Sorry, my language. I'm going to carve out my own niche. It's not the best in the world. It's still scary, but I'm going to do things that I like to do, and I'm going to try to make a go of it. But then you see these governments everywhere now crushing the little guy. You know, so you can't make a go of things. You can't escape Australia now, for instance, even if you want to.
Yeah.
You know, they're kicking out the poorer people in Thailand who may have found that as Shangri-La. And an escape from the, you know, the West. They're kicking them out now. It's a crime to be poor now.
this is the thing that that the Thai gets been recently sort of raised as part of the Thai news circuit is Thailand. The Thailand authorities are only just now realising after seeing the figures for 4 months, the fact that we had so many tourists and the tourism industry is so much of their GDP, right? And now they're sort of trying to fund Thais to go and take holidays in Thailand. But the real numbers are the fact that the 30 million Thais will go on holiday in Thailand, right, and raise like 1 trillion baht in what do you call it in spending, whereas only 8 million tourists come here and spend twice as much. And what they've been doing is they've been distancing the affluent Westerners, right? They've been dissing them for the last 5 to 10 years, right? And when we sort of say even a modest tourist coming in, like I won't use any names, but getting here when you're not 50, right? On a meager budget. And spending, within your means, running a YouTube channel, having some extra cash coming in, right? But what happened to border runs? 10 years ago you could do that sort of comfortably. They can this border run, but all that money is still being spent in Thailand, right? And that's what they've failed to realise, the fact that let the guys, bring back border runs. Let the under 50s get in here and spend some money. They might not spend like a millionaire, but if you made it easy for them to come and be here and live that lifestyle of adequacy, for want of a better word, what happens there? We've cut off that whole income stream. Yet one of those foreigners is still making up for 10 Chinese spenders. Because the Chinese don't spend the money here.
I think too, living in Thailand too, there's a certain unwritten expectation of what Phalangs should be and do, and their place in Thailand. I mean, when you're entering in a homogenous society, that homogenous society doesn't view assimilation in the same way as we do in the West. They don't want you to necessarily assimilate and play using the same rules as they play by. They want to see you spend money. They want to see you living like a Phalang in their eyes, or to live. And we play the role. We stay in tourist mode. We do what the good little Phalang should do. How dare you get on a local bus? Grab a taxi, arsehole, and spend some money, because we all know you're rich.
They do keep track of these stuff on the chat as well. John V, do you think you would be ostracised if you... scrolled off. If you did not drink and frequent bars in Thailand,
yes.
If you're living in the tourist areas like Hua Hin and Pattaya and maybe even sort of Phuket, that's what's expected of you. I suppose from a Thai perspective. They now come to expect that
Phalangs,
shit.
Yeah. Replace the word bar with temple and see how that goes for you.
Yeah.
You won't meet any Phalangs.
Apart from the tourists. Getting back to the forever tourists.
Replace the word bar with temple and you've got your answer there. You will be ostracised if it is Phalangs whom you wish to socialise with and be among, then you will be ostracised, because that's what they do. The meeting places are the bars, the entertainment areas, and that is what it is.
And it really is sad, the whole YouTubing thing again. There is so much Thai culture here, right, that would just completely flummox a vegan snow lizard, right? Sorry, Hitchhiker's Got the Galaxy. But Australians, they don't even have culture, right? We were prisoners up to 120 years ago.
That's a rough one.
What is Australian culture, right? There was something developing. Something was developing in the 50s and 60s and 70s. Something was definitely becoming what they call an Australian specific culture, and something happened and it got stamped.
We try to define our culture by sport mainly here. People tell you, if you're not conforming in Australia, you're sitting in a football jumper, you're sitting in the rain. You've got your umbrella. work starts Monday. There's the work culture. There's all these subcultures that exist within a main culture.
But
And then
what
we're
is
a
it? What is it to
multicultural
be?
society.
What is it to be an
It's hard to
Australian
pin
these
down
days?
because we're multicultural, you see.
Whereas
So,
in Thailand, as an experiment, or as an like a counter, like this whole thing that just as I said, the funeral we're going through, right, takes 3 days to process the respect that the family has for the elders, which we just simply don't even have that respect in Australia. Shove them in the ground and beyond, I'm just going to have a few drinks. I know I've done a few for funerals in Australia before, and that was it, just, shove them in the ground, be done with it. Over here, it's a 3-day process. Do I film it? No, I think I have a certain amount of respect for the Thai culture. And again, secondly, what we get stuck with is, it doesn't get views. Right? Nobody in the West is really. Nobody in the West is interested in it.
I had a friend of mine. She's a dear lady. She lost a 2-year-old child. As I said, it's the first child funeral that I've ever been to. But you know what the biggest question was at work about her demise?
What's that?
When's she coming back? When do you think she'll come back? Do you think she'll ever come back to work? And it just says it all to me. I thought, this is just, instead of saying, gee, I hope she's all right, and, but the question was, I wonder when she's coming back. That was the question they asked. Because we're all trapped into this lifestyle here that's as you said before, it's indentured slavery. We're just all on the wheel, pushing the wheel around, and we're told that if you keep walking around in circles, you'll make it. You'll make it to the twilight zone where you can retire and live happily ever after. But we all the cat's out of the bag now. We all know that's bullshit.
Yeah.
That dream has long since been destroyed and exposed for what it is. Some of us made it through the parallel universes. Some of us made it through the twilight zone, that we've got a small nest egg that we can still survive into our twilight years. But for many people, it's not an option. And so going to, as I said, Southeast Asia was the answer. Somewhere where they could just get off this bloody wheel for a while, take a breath, and even though they were living quite frugally, you then had the rich among the Falungs, despising the poor among the Falungs, casting dispersions at them and casting dispersions at the pensioners who decided to try and improve their life in Thailand. And there's these ugly scenarios that keep propping up all the time. We've just, it's almost like the overflow of excess in the West has still not died. When you get to the shores of Thailand, you're still living in this capitalist bubble of greed, and I'll be the richest Falung on the beach and I'll survive, and it's just I just despise the whole system the way it is.
I think that the term that they use here in Thailand is Farang Kinok. That's the epitome of the Farang that sort of tries to make out more than he is, and they have no respect for the culture over here and everything else. I think it translates to bird shit Farang, like that's it, the Kinok, bird shit.
You could imagine a lot of Thais would be pissed off with us. We all of a sudden we come over there and all these gated communities are created just for us. The Thai men are seen as pick up all these women, and albeit they're ones that they've long since dissed. But I mean, we're living the good life. We're standing at ATMs and fanning ourselves with wads of money because it's friggin' hot outside. I mean, we run in and out of 7-Elevens that they can barely afford to visit. You could go on with this, and you could imagine there's a lot of Thais living an absolute miserable life, and we walk by them and say, "Oh, they seem happy to me." They're not happy.
Anyway, couple of hellos there to Mr. Mitch and Dowlo. I think there was another one I missed there before. I have to scroll up. Anyway, how you doing, guys? Chocolate Cocoa, how you doing? Now, so Nyla sort of Nyla just made a point there. Where is it? I've scrolled off again.
We put 50 retiree expats on Koh Lan and give them all some scissors. the last man standing gets a visa. Make it pay-per-view very
No,
fast.
Australian, he said, here's the one from up there. Australian culture involves a lot of beer drinking and hunting stuff that can kill you. Well, I'm not quite sure
Bangkok
about that.
46 who says we need to hear you rant, Warren. He wants you to go into one of your coherent rants.
Incoherent rants. Well, we've got a subject to talk
didn't mean
about.
it. Shut up.
We've got a subject to talk about. Keenock, yes, shitbird, yeah, bird shit, yeah. Regarding the focus on work here, Jorgen, here first question is, what is your work, not how do you feel? Well, that's another thing. Again, so we're being programmed, in the West, right, to put your job first, right? I think, and again, I think it's, if you're a religious person, or spirituality, family, and career, and all that was a sort of order you need to put them in to be anything of anybody. Definitely, spirituality is primary in the culture here in Thailand, whereas like most of us Australians are uncultured when it comes to that. So what do we do?
So what do you think? Should you be happy before you decide to go somewhere where you think it's going to make you happy? If you're not happy in Australia, can you be happy in Thailand? Can you ever escape the miserable existence? Do you bring all your baggage with you?
Well, in my case, I had a situation where I met somebody that I was very taken by, and I had sort of 7 years of bouncing backwards and forwards, really sort of sampling the lifestyle and getting an idea of whether Thailand would work, until the final straw that broke the camel's back, and that's it. I think I'm going to do a lot better here in Thailand than I'm going to do in Australia. Right, the money's sorted out as long as I stick to being frugal
as long as you don't look at it. As
long as I be frugal, I don't sort of hang out at the bars and don't look at the stock market. Oh my God, yeah.
As long as you don't look at it, you'll do well.
But this is the thing, like putting, you got to do more. If you want to do it, you got to do more. You can't expect to get to 67 and just sort of say, I'm going to Thailand now. That simply just will not work. There's a big reality check there. You're going to need to put your million baht or your 800,000 baht on a bank account to start with, right? How many Australians can sort of say they've got $40,000 sitting in the bank, right?
Well,
Don't come here if you sort of say, well, I've got a pension, right, and they're sitting in the bank, and I've got my 65,000 baht a month, which is, I don't know, is that even what the pension is these days? I don't know.
Well, you used to be able to do that.
Yeah, but you can't anymore.
And my view is that's one of the shames that all societies now have become everywhere around the world.
Yeah.
Used to be that if, imagine your situation, you're in Australia, you're on your 720 a fortnight, whatever the pension is, and whatever little discounts you get, concessions you get, but you can't exist. You need family, so a lot of these people are going without heating in Australia. You talk about the poor in Thailand, there's a lot of them go without a decent diet. It's really, really sad, the what we do to our elderly here in Australia. It really is sad. And you say, well, in Thailand they don't have any welfare. Yeah, but they have access to food. Most of the people, it's an agrarian society, most of them have access for food. As you said, they're quite familial. They have their villages. They support each other. Overall, I think it's actually probably better than Australia. Australia's so you go to Thailand on your pension, and you could live quite well over there on that compared to Australia. You're not paying 400 a week.
Not
over
anymore.
there, you're paying 400 a month for your rental, so you're better off.
Well, you can't do it anymore. What is the Australian pension? Just as a single male Australian?
About 760, I think, a fortnight. I think
60, right?
Or 720 or something like that a fortnight. I'm not on the pension.
That's 16,000. So that's
I think it's less than 940 fortnight, but I might be out of touch, John B. But I think it's about.
Well, that doesn't. That's 32,000 baht, right? So you can't do it. You can't do the pension only without a nest egg.
Well,
right?
but people did for many years though, and now it's
Yeah, they
becoming
can't.
with
They
all the
basically,
new regulations now.
yeah.
You know, with this disdain for people who are poor. Again, we keep getting back to it. I mean, a lot of those pensioners were contributing to Thai society because literally all their money stayed in Thailand.
John V says
But
it's 914. Was that? So that's what per fortnight.
okay,
Okay.
okay, so
So
it's gone up a
it's
bit.
good. That well, I
Okay,
don't know. So 914, 914.
not a bad
Right.
amount. It's not a bad amount
That's
if you have a couple of bucks to put aside as well. You know, like you might have a small super or something put aside as well, so you
still
can
only
do it
40.
there.
It's still only 40,000 a month. So it still
Yeah,
doesn't.
but you can live in Thailand on that. You can.
Well, this is the big conjecture. Yeah, to
Compared to
do,
Australia, you can't
you
live in
have
Australia
to
on that.
live as a Thai, right? And that's invariably when you get to that 60. Back to this thing, what are you going to grow old gracefully? Yes, if you're going to live a Thai lifestyle, right? Then yes, if you've got your, the 800,000 baht, that 40,000 baht a month, you can live and have a comfortable lifestyle if you live as a Thai. No bars, no nana, no patia, right? Live as a Thai, right? That's where it comes down to it, right? That's the growing old gracefully. And again, it's quite possible to do, but you're going to need a nest egg. You're going to need to be able to put that money aside and have it do nothing in Thailand for forever.
You've got to be frugal. You've definitely got to
And
be
you're going to be
frugal.
frugal.
But in Australia, you couldn't even afford a roof over your head.
Well,
Now,
but
my
that's
mate,
just
my
the
mate
point.
literally said to me, his knees went, his health went. He couldn't do taxi driving to get extra money, and his rent was coming in every week close to $500. Right? He said, I just had to go to Thailand. I literally had to try and get out, and
Yeah.
then try and salvage if I could. If I could get the pension, I can at least survive. He got himself a little room for about 10,000 baht a month. He still goes to all the bars because he lives in Pattaya. He eats cheaply and he gets his washing done. I mean, if you look at it, he's actually getting looked after by the way because if you live in a tourist area, getting your washing done, getting your meals served, and all this sort of thing, it takes a lot of pressure off you. In Australia, an old person's got to wash their own clothes, iron their own clothes, try to cook up a meal. Some of them can't even move, like my father, and that, he's so bad now that he's 89. I literally go out there and do everything. I won't go into all that. But what I'm saying is there is the system in Thailand seems to cater for these old folk a lot better than it does here, even though some of them can't afford to have health insurance. They can get all these things done for them.
They do, yeah.
So, but it's becoming harder to do that for these people now. They literally don't know where to go. What to do.
Dalo's asking a question: is it possible to live off a rich Thai lady?
I think that would be a win of sorts, Dalo. If you could do that.
Is that your plan? Is it, Dalo? Have you got a rich Thai lady to look after you?
I'd love that. Yeah, wouldn't that be a change? Not have to be the one
sugar mama.
Yeah, sugar mama.
That'd be. I'd make a video of that. That'd be something to skite about. I mean, Jesus.
And of course, Oggie's been here for an hour listening to us bounce ideas backwards and forwards. We haven't even had Oggie's input yet. So what's your feelings? Are expats growing old gracefully or reliving their youth living in Thailand?
I don't know. I haven't been there yet, so I don't really feel I should have an opinion other than the fact that that's what I plan on doing.
Right. What is your plan? Is your plan to retire here gracefully, or is it to?
Oh hell no! I'm gonna blow myself out in 2 or 3 years.
There you go.
I'm happy.
So there you go. Well, that's what my point is. I mean, you've got all this pent up anger, haven't you? Like before, and stress. And by the time you get to Thailand, you've got to let it all out. It's like you haven't had sex for 10 years like me, and then all of a sudden you blow your load. It just goes everywhere.
Yeah. No. I plan on moving there and basically becoming a digital nomad. I plan on writing when I retire. So I want to do science fiction and fantasy books, and if I sell, great. If not, I'll have my $1,200-$1,300 a month U.S. retirement coming in, and I plan on saving up to 800,000 baht to where I can keep that in the bank and just go over and retire.
Right.
As long as
Yeah.
you don't sell mugs and hats and T-shirts.
Why would I? No, I don't want to. You know, I don't know if I'll YouTube or not. I mean, it would be fun to, but who knows?
No, you
I've
have
got
to
4.5
YouTube.
years before this is going to happen. Who knows what the climate's going to be like?
Augie, you have to become a YouTuber vlogger. It's one of the stipulations now. It's on the Thai visa thing. You have to be a vlogger. Yeah.
Well, you know.
Yeah, that's a question they're asking you on the visa application. Are you going to vlog in Thailand?
There you go.
Are you going to represent Thailand in a positive light? Yes or no? Might make a difference on whether or not you get that visa.
Yeah, and then you walk around and you show everybody, that's a hotel, that's a building, that's a car, that's a person eating a hamburger, that's McDonald's over there. You do that for an hour and that's what you do.
That's a rat. Doesn't it look delicious?
Yeah, and you sit there and you watch people make you eat like Mark Weens, you know? You eat and go,
I know.
and
Let's have some bugs.
yeah, and then all of a sudden you've got 1 million viewers and 5 million people watching you eat. I mean, what? Yeah, it doesn't get better. I can't wait.
Oh, I could eat professionally.
Yeah,
that
I mean, imagine
sounds good
you
to me.
doing
I'll
videos.
just- I'll just go.
Imagine you doing videos of people of eating, Augie. We could watch you fucking slam down.
How to lose weight in Thailand? Just eat the local food.
What's cooking?
Augie cleans out Burger King. Augie cleans out Burger King. Have to get extra staff on to feed him.
As long as it's Burger King and not McDonald's. McDonald's
I'll help you,
sucks.
mate. Well, both us fatties will get in there. We'll clean the joint out.
There we go. Where's the all-you-can-eat buffet? Let's have some fun here.
Yeah, I think all the you-can-eat buffets. That's it. You'll be banned from those places as soon as you get here. I'm sure.
I'll have a double fries and a double burger, thanks, and a double shake. And make it snappy. And then just vomit it everywhere. What pad thai say? I'll open a Farang brothel.
One
What?
thing-
Only Farangs in there? Oh my God.
Silver belly prostitutes. That's what we do.
That's it. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. So what's that one there? John V.
I don't
Apartment.
know how popular you'll be, Stephen, as a male gigolo, but I guess you could try it.
Well, people will probably pay to watch me eat. You know.
John V. I don't know who's asking the question of apartment living versus home in Thailand. Well, again, I think it's depending on what I did in Australia. I lived for 2 years in my 18 to 20 to 22 in an apartment. Like the little buildings, or like what do you call them, flats in Australia. They're not actually flat.
You did not, Warren. You lived in a mansion. We know. We've all seen it.
Now, a 2-bedroom flat, and I had different roommates. Did 2 years of that. Couldn't deal with that shit. I would never live in an apartment in my life again. I've always preferred the house living. Townhouses like this, with shared adjacent walls. That's about as far as I go. But we don't get any problems with the neighbours here. I think you get a lot more space, compared to what we call an apartment in Thailand. Quite frankly, I've sort of the same area apartment in the centre of Bangkok is going to set you back, 40, 50,000 baht a month. If you're looking at spatial, area to work with. And
that's not a green screen behind Warren. That's he's left his window open. That's his actual
that's
view
it.
of Bangkok.
You're right. But yeah, so when you get out here, we've got you've got I did a video in this new series that I'm going to start up, which is the Bangkok Insider, talking about apartment style, and we're showing you what the Thai apartments were. And the apartments there are they're basically a single room with a toilet. And that's what they call an apartment. And they're about 30 to 35 square metres if you're lucky. You're paying, I think, top floor without a lift, maybe 4,000 baht a month, 5,000 baht a month. And then going up to the ones that have more amenities downstairs on the lower level, with lifts that get you up to the top floors. You can be paying the same as what we pay here, like 9, 10, 11,000 baht a month in this area. So would I have an apartment versus a house? No, seriously, 9,000 baht a month We get more living
What about a
space. We
studio?
get
What about a
bed.
studio apartment?
Well, there is no such thing as evil. Evil
Ben.
Penguin is just subscribed. G'day, Evil Penguin. Yeah. The evil penguin. But
I'm trying to get a Section 8 out of Australia. I'm going to go to immigration in a dress, like, you know, and then
Like
see if
Klinger.
they Section 8. Yeah, like Klinger, and see if they can Section 8 me to Thailand. You know,
right.
I'm going to tell them I'm unfit to be an Australian citizen.
See how that'll work. Do you still pay tax here? Well, that's it. You can still pay tax. You're still an Australian citizen. Yeah. We'll talk about Sukhothai another time, sort of, perhaps, right? But yeah, so again, getting back to I would still prefer to have a townhouse. Again, a house would be better, but again, where we are, the price of land here depicts the price that you're going to pay for a house. Even Nakhon Pathom, the prices are there are rapidly rising. Actually, the prices have seemed to have stabilised. People are realising the fact that they're not selling because nobody's got any money because everybody's out of work. So the prices of housing has actually come down a little bit. But it's the price of land. That's really what you're paying for.
That I'll groom you all up. Don't worry.
Yeah, as I've sort of said in the videos we've done on the walkarounds, right? When you look at these houses that you're buying now, the 1/3 of the price is the footing that land sits on. So for your average 4 million baht home, you're looking at that 35 square metre footing. That's a 1.2 million baht. In this area, I don't know why.
As it sinks, your value goes down.
But I've looked at some of these, these condos, right now, which are they're not the apartments. They're condos are, I think, the in between stage, but they're so small, right? I can't. I'm not sort of trying to diss Tim there, but he had a lovely apartment in the President there on. At Bang Wah. Very nicely appointed apartment, but seriously, it's a shoebox. I don't know how anybody could live in that. And they were paying 12,000 baht a month for that. Okay, it's right on the BTS junction, so there was convenience.
I had one was probably not that small. I mean, it had quite a big balcony, and I think having a big balcony and at least have a friggin' window. Some people live in apartments with no windows, for Christ's sake. Have a big window sliding door out onto a balcony. A studio apartment. You could I had a good sized bathroom and toilet, big king size bed, and then I had a little corner there, a sofa, and a corner where I could. So I didn't mind it at all.
Yeah. So John V. Studio. So that's what they call an apartment over here is what you would probably call a studio in the West. But again, I've seen studio apartments which are top floors of warehouses and things like that. They can get to be massive sizes. The typical size here is 35 square. Well, wouldn't be so say 35. I'd say 30 square meters is probably as big as you would get in a Thai apartment or studio. They are very, very small. I remember again. I get back to my life here, and I met Chanya. The reason I gave her money to get an apartment, get a townhouse, is she was living in one of those apartments, and no joke, it was a shoebox. They had an air conditioner, they had a bathroom, right, and they had 4 single beds lined up against one corner of the wall. Right, that's how they lived here in Thailand, and that's what they do. And that was 3,000 baht a month back in 2010 when I first saw it. And I'm going, no girlfriend of mine deserves to live like that. How much to rent an apartment, rent a townhouse? She looked around. We found one for 5,000 baht a month. I said, here's 5,000 baht a month. Set yourself up in there, right? Because I honestly can't have you living like this. And quite frankly, I don't want to come here 4 times a year and spend, money on a hotel room. It was actually cheaper for me to give her the money.
Single bloke though, a studio apartment. Like I found it perfect. Within your case where it's more familial, you need something different like a townhouse. Yeah.
Yeah, and of course that's for two people, and it is. It's a cover. We are very much at home here, but this is what we're looking for to move into. Again, something
you couldn't live in a small place.
as a single guy, yes, I could. All I need is a bed and my computer desk, and away I go. If push comes to shove, that's we talk about the exit strategies that we might have. If something went sideways in our relationship, well, then one exit strategy here is the money's in the bank. She doesn't get any of that. I'd make sure that periodical debit that comes out a month that pays for things, which is paying for the rent and the sundry items that I pay for. I'd make sure that wouldn't happen, and I would instantly just move into a studio apartment, just like that. Would be no thought about the process. Right.
I think the thing is, a lot of these Thai women, I'm not saying you, Warren, but I'm saying Thai women, they survived before you were there, and they'll survive long after. I mean, the only thing that we've done in many cases is just make them more materialistic, and given them wants. We've turned their wants into needs, and as I said before, we get caught in that trap a bit. Like it's a box in a box in a box. They were perfectly fine before you got there, and they'll be perfectly fine after you get there. I think we've got to really think like that. If we can improve their life a little bit, sure. But as I said, a lot of the wants become needs, and they didn't need all these things before. Now all of a sudden you're there, you got a bank account, and not you, but I'm saying you're there as a Falun, and you got a bank account, and they create needs. So it's partly our fault. We're creating the monsters.
Yeah, so Jog and D, I'm not sure how I can handle studio apartment, have 90 square metre apartment here. Okay, I adjust. Yeah, I think so. Again, you're going to have the passion to live here. There are a lot of downsides to living in Thailand. One, you never know what the Thais are, unless of course you speak fluent Thai. I think that was one of the points we made, the language.
Depends where you are, where you go. Like, I adored the lifestyle of living in a studio apartment. It was just fantastic. It was huge. And as I said, I could lock it up. I could walk outside, throw my washing downstairs. I came back, it was all ironed and folded and washed. There was a restaurant there. There was a swimming pool, tennis courts. The BTS was a stone throw away. It was brilliant. No lawns to mow. No, nothing to worry about at all. It's just lock up and off you go.
It reminds me of that. I don't know if you've seen that movie. What was it? The five elements, or the fifth, with Bruce Willis. How he starts out, he's in that apartment, and he just opens the window, and the Chinese flying kiosk comes to his window, and he gets his noodles, and it's all there in just one little box. You press a button, and your closet turns into a shower, and you press another button, the table turns into your bed.
I honestly don't think Thailand's that bad in that department. I really don't. I think there's some good places. You've got to look around a bit. I can only talk about my own experience, but I loved it. It was a little quiet soy in a nut. There were little vendors everywhere. Tesco's wasn't that far away, as I said. The BTS was there. Very convenient. But if you go, you can find a shoebox, a shithole, if you want to, and pay even more money than I was paying. Where I was, I couldn't fault it. Even if you had a partner, I couldn't fault it. But if you've got your mother living there and you've got kids, and different story.
Dallas was saying apartments in Melbourne are not much bigger than the apartments that we're going to be. Well, I wouldn't know. I've not been sort of paying much attention to what's going over there. I was living in Hornsby. Living in Hornsby, right? What they call the flats. I think this is what they call them. That's the Australian term. I don't know what they would call them in other places, but they were 2-bedroom. They had a lounge room. They had a kitchen. They had usually a laundry. Was a separate space in there. But it's a building. Every level had either 4 or 8 of these apartments. That's what we call flats, and they usually it's 2 to 3 story high. Maybe you'd go up to 5 story high. I think as you move sort of closer to the city, they got higher. But I remember sort of somebody in one of our friends in Artarmon, which is in just above North Sydney. That apartment there, again, that was a 40-story building. But even those flats there, those apartments, they were still 2-bedroom. They still had a bathroom, they still had a kitchen, they still had a lounge room or an entertainment area. They had a balcony. Hey, thanks for that, 1940. Anyways, I'm convinced my wife to take a good look at Thailand for retirement. In 3 years, when I retire, we're going to spend 3 months to get a good feel of it. We're too young for retirement visa. We'll get an elite visa. Well, that's another option. We haven't even talked about this elite visa yet. I mean, I don't know enough about the elite visas, but I've recently come across a few people who are actually here.
Cost 20 grand, don't they?
I think it works out, it's 100,000 baht per year for the elite visa, but you have to pay up front, and that's a continual payment to stay on that visa. It does last for 5 years, right? It solves all your problems, right? There's no questions asked.
Wouldn't want to be.
For 100,000 baht. Basically, it's a service industry, right? And again, it goes into money that's coming to Thailand. It's just saying I'm living here in Thailand, and of course, it's you get this elite status. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that goes with it. But yeah, it's a great option. So if it was available before I came, I may have even come on the elite visa. But because I had the retirement age, I think even if you're over 50 years old, it is definitely something to consider. You get limousine services and you get this special card that gets you privileges, but it really is not for somebody who's trying to be living here on a budget. Like I said, it's 100,000 baht instantly gone. What do you get for that? It's basically no questions asked.
And happy endings.
Well, it doesn't come with happy endings. It doesn't come with any of the extras. It's just, it's basically a privilege. It's an elite status. You can go to certain places.
You can push in the line.
Flash this. Well, I think the 90-day check-in, they're supposed to do the 90-day check-in for you. When it comes to the visa renewal, I'm not quite sure how the process works, but as I said, 100,000 baht. It's God. When Don was over here and he was only here for 2 weeks, he spent 65,000 baht in one bar in one night. So,
I don't think I could stand you on an elite visa. I couldn't imagine it. It would be terrible listening to you.
How do you mean? Give me a break.
Yeah. Imagine you on an elite visa. You'd be sitting there, you'd be talking right down to us there, wouldn't you?
Again, it probably does create a sort of elitism, doesn't it?
Yeah, you'd love that, wouldn't you?
Well, look, Stephen, I can afford to do it, but I can afford to do it cheaper, right? Okay, that 800,000 baht in the bank, that doesn't earn any interest. Well, I don't think it earns interest, or the interest gets.
Plum in your mouth. Hello, everybody.
Yeah, but it doesn't suit me, right? It's actually cheaper to live. I'd rather spend that 100,000 just partying and having a good time, being a regular Joe Schmo and hanging out with people like Niall down at the and go and give Susie a hug every couple of weeks and that sort of stuff. I'm just too easy going when it comes to that sort of thing, but it was an option, and it still would be an option.
Be terrible travelling with you. I get pushed out of the way and have to yell down a taxi, and you hop into a limousine.
Johnny's saying Pope Warren, yes.
Couldn't stand it.
Yeah, so he's saying he's going to bring his daughters with us. So okay, so it's going to be a whole family thing living together, is it? It's an interesting thing. We haven't even explored that sort of side of retirement or living here and growing whole. I think you're going a middle ground there. You sort of as you're going to be parenting, so you're going to take it easy while your daughters go out and run amok. Is that how it's going to work?
Well, isn't there one of the vloggers that's over here with his kid, with his whole family?
Well, that's Dan in Thailand. So he's married to a Western Farang, but he's got a work visa that keeps him in Thailand, and he's got his young family here. So they're not that radical age running amok. I think I'm not quite sure how old 1940s kids are.
Scott Mellon has a family there too, but it's a different situation. I think, in his case. But I mean, it would keep you grounded. I would imagine having a good job and a family.
Yeah,
that would keep you grounded. I couldn't imagine that you would go off the rails too easily with that situation.
Yeah, 65,000 baht a night on hookers and grog, and wasted the rest. I'm not quite
Johnny
sure.
Siam says, "Is becoming a monk? Is that an option?" Yeah, it is actually. You can become a monk.
I listened to a podcast back in the early '90s, which is another thing that was happening, where one of my occult studies, this guy, he actually came here and spent 6 months here and did a monk sabbatical. I don't know whether you can still do it as a farang or you can get any sort of visa for that. But back then, this was back in the day when you could board across, and bounce between borders and stay here almost indefinitely. Which again is something that I really think that the Thailand really needs to get a grip of and sort of bring that shit back again, because it was one of the things that really made Thailand a place. You could bounce across borders. On
a serious note, if you look on YouTube, it's called Monk in the Mountain. Everybody can look at this one. It's an American guy. He was a lawyer, very wealthy, threw away everything, and he's lived in the caves in the mountain. His video is called Monk in the Mountain, and he's been there, I think, over 30 years now. And he was a very successful lawyer, businessman in America, and threw it all away. And he's never been happier. So it is possible.
Yeah, so that's Jorgen D. Again, he's sort of adding another back on the rental. It is important for Thai ladies to actually own their house. This is something that we're going through. Yes, it's part of the family sort of unit sort of situation that we've got to deal with. The reason for farang build instead of rent. Again, so I think a lot of farang in that situation would build the house on land or buy the land or whatever and build the house. The farang can actually own the house. I'm going a different route, which is a mortgage route. But again, that's because we have some particular situations that we can't be allowed to do. The relationship there, it's a very backward law system here, and they don't recognise the marriage. So even if we went overseas and came back and her married, they still wouldn't recognise it. The only time they would recognise the marriage is if she had to relinquish her Thai citizenship, right? But then of course she wouldn't be able to own land herself. So that's a catch-22. Having the mortgage.
John B has a question too. In terms of security, is it better to carry a fanny bag, a backpack, a sling bag? Your thoughts?
Well, again, I just carry my wallet. I don't carry money.
You have that sling bag. You have a sling bag.
Yeah, but that's I need to carry. That's my camera gear.
But what do they call those things? Man bag or something?
That's what they call a merce. A merce. That's it. Yeah, a man bag, a merce. Look, I generally go out with just my wallet. I don't have a fanny bag. I don't have a backpack, sling bag. But again, it's got to come down to what you're doing. I'm only hanging out in the local area, and I've got my driver's license in my wallet. I've got my farang ID card in my wallet, so I don't have to carry my passports. So that's how I deal with it. And I carry
must be hard keeping all those moths in your wallet. Why don't you use a bag, and that way when you open it, the moths won't go over it.
Shut. Yeah, so for me, that's what I do. But it's got to come down to everybody's unique situation. If you're over here and you're only travelling around, then I think you're going to need a backpack. I think when I use Ian's as an example, he's a single guy. When he used to come over here and he was here for 3 months, pretty much everywhere he went, carried his backpack because it had his camera gear, it had all this, change of clothes, change of this, change of that. He carried everything in his backpack. I mean, it gets a bit cumbersome as well when you get on the public transport and all that sort of stuff. You're taking it off and on your shoulders. Fanny bags, I think they're a thing of the past. People don't really use them. I see a few millennials use them, but they're more like shopkeepers and shop. Like in the markets, you might see them using them in the markets there as the vendor, right? But you generally don't see people wearing them, or Farang wearing them as well. So
I love the way you've made the distinction between millennials and people.
it's all right.
You see millennials wear them, but generally people don't.
Well, they're not people. Come on, they're millennials. The privileged society.
Oh, fuck, it's funny.
Yeah, they're privileged. They're privileged. And they're privileged. Spoiled brats. Generally, there we go. That'll get me some good ratings. Condoms and lubes. Yeah, keys, wallet, phone. I carry my keys, my pocket. I tend to wear a pair of what they call cargos. So if I want to carry some extra stuff, I'll wear cargos. I got 4 or 5 pairs of cargos. So if I need to carry a few extra bits and pieces,
I just wear speedos and put them in the budgie.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm not even going to
budgie smugglers.
Yeah, budgie smugglers, and I put my money in there to make my ding dong look bigger.
Not even going there. That's it. Yeah.
Oh.
You're supposed to use a sock. You're supposed to use a sock for that shit. Seems we've got to keep on. We've got to keep a track on the expat going on until let us not talk about your man gear. So it seems the shorts have more pocket, so spend more time looking for stuff.
At least I don't get attacked in budgie smugglers. People tend to run the other way.
Well, actually, one thing we don't ever talk about is dress code. Shorts, a lot of Farang wear shorts when they come over here because it's hot. But did you know that you actually are cooler in cotton long pants or cotton jeans like Levi's or some cargos? As long as they're a cotton blend, they are actually a lot cooler than shorts. People don't realise that.
As long as they're not matching T-shirts or shorts. That's
it. As long as they're not matching, yeah.
As long as your partner doesn't have the same colour and design T-shirt as you do. That's when you're fine. Oh, fuck, I hate that.
Well, first you'd have to have a partner.
That's true. And as long as she doesn't look like us.
Secure way of keeping things. Let your Thai lady keep and carry it. That's right. Give her your wallet. That's it. She'll take care of everything. Don't worry.
Yeah. Yeah. They won't even have you asked twice to do that.
She'll keep you sorted out.
They won't give you your wallet back. That's for certain. But in my case, in my case, I carry a wallet. I may have 2,000 to 3,000 baht in my wallet. I don't carry much more than that. I've got my phone with me, and if I need to pay for something, you should just.
Indeed. Are you sure somebody wants your money after you've had it in a sock? Yeah, just take your marbles out of the sock, Jorgen, and then replace it with money. You'll be fine.
D3, my wife always wants us wearing matching clothes. Gets interesting with the G-strings.
Put mothballs in your socks.
Well, you can't put mothballs in G-strings. Yeah. Not going to go there, D3. Sorry. Do you think
people need to look inwards more than they are now currently doing? Most people looking for external answers to their life problems. Yes, I do agree with that, John V. I think
John V's had a bunch of great questions today. I know
it's been very good.
We've missed half of them along the way because Stephen keeps on jacking on.
pot calling the kettle there.
It's all Stephen's fault.
That's it, Stephen. Well, Stephen's topic. So, look, let's before we wrap, we've got half an hour, but don't worry, we're going to do more of this style of Saturday morning live stream. It seems like it is a little bit more interesting than what we've been doing in the past. We're peaking 42 viewers. I don't even know what the numbers are right now. But I've sort of seen it sort of flashing on 40 to 42 viewers. I'd have to go and have a look at the actual statistics on that. But yeah, so
did we answer the question? Did we find out if people actually are growing old gracefully, or are they just becoming lunatics when they arrive in Thailand?
Oh, I think generally most of the people we see on YouTube
Are lunatics.
are lunatics. We tick all the boxes.
Your viewers agree.
My viewers agree.
No, the viewers of vloggers generally. I mean, it's quite funny. Start greeting yourself. Hello, good morning. How am I? I'm fine, thank you. And you? Well, I didn't really ask. Anyway, sorry, I've been
being narcissistic, picking on something. Bossa Nova, g'day. How you doing? Just joined in. Yeah, well, we've still got a bit to go. It's been quite an
T-shirt, dear. Let's go.
It's been an interesting topic. But yeah, like I'm trying to sort of round up a bit and make sure people are on the same page. We're going to try and do more topic-based live streams for our Saturday morning thing. Get more people involved. If you've got some ideas for doing a topic, come onto our Discord. Let's chat about it before we do it. So we've got a bit of a sort of a test case scenario to see if we can get something that can carry for a couple of hours. But yeah, it's up to you guys. This is an interaction time where we get people in the Discord to come on, interact with me and with the audience, as well as the audience interacting with us here and having a chat, throwing out some questions there and really sort of getting down and chatting about all the stuff that, and it doesn't have to be Thailand specifically. Some of the things I want to chat about might not even be Thailand specific. I'd like to sit down and talk about, how you would change your life and work on things that could improve your lifestyle. Like again, betting about this thing. How many people how many people put away 10% of their income outside superannuation, right, to make their life better or give them an option when they get to 50, right? Because you need to do that when you're 20, If you're doing it when you're 30, you need to be looking at maybe sort of 15% of your income. If you start doing it when you're 40, 20% of your income needs to be put away so you can have that nice little nest egg. But that's another subject. We can talk about those sort of things. But if you've got any ideas for topics, come on here or just drop me a message, drop it in here if you've got an idea, if you've got some ideas for something now, totally welcome. We'll jot them down and we'll sort of see if we can sort of elaborate on that. But yeah, so it's a time where you guys can chat amongst yourselves, but hopefully chat amongst us as well. Get our opinion, get our thoughts. This one was a generally good one where we can sort of really have a lot of angles and really sort of never get to a conclusion, because it's going to be everybody's going to have their own ideas of what's going to work for them. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. But yes. Yeah, and again, so John V, as I said, he's been contributing greatly to the actual stream. He's got some great questions, and what we really do need is somebody here just to keep track of the conversation.
How about I do impressions and you've got to work out who the vlogger is?
Right.
Well, what we're going to do today is just going to go down and we're going to see if we can. We're going to see if we can live on 50 baht a day. All right, so, okay. So, before we do that, though, I've just got to pop in and take a shit. Would everybody like to follow me? Okay, good. Now, you'll notice here on the floor... oh, God.
Sounds like David Attenborough.
Yeah, it does. It does. It does. It gets like that. It's like, I don't want to know every friggin' detail.
Sorry.
That's all right, Stephen. So you've had your little thing. You've had your little bit. You've had your little
Well, it only
rant.
lasted 10 seconds. It only lasted 10 seconds. Wasn't bad.
I'm just trying to get to the analytics. There's a way to get to the analytics of the video, and I can't seem to find out how to do that.
If I see people with matching T-shirts at a restaurant, I want to rip it off them and wipe my face with it.
There. Let's
You
talk
use
about
the
the rich.
Run down.
Here's one. Let's talk about get-rich-quick schemes and their manifestation nowadays, and how easily led
I think
people are.
John V's
Yeah.
on the wrong channel. He thinks we've all had an education. You might have the wrong channel, John V.
I'm going to drop that down in the actual box. There we go.
Jesus, well, let's read that again. Let's talk about get-rich-quick schemes and their manifestation nowadays, and how easily led people. Who are led people?
How easily led.
I'm only
people are,
joking.
yeah,
I'm only
yes.
joking. I'm joking.
Yeah.
Wow. That's refreshing to have a person who's educated. Let's talk about get-rich schemes. You keep reading their comments, and then you don't answer them. You just keep reading them, and then you go on to the next one. Well, don't start selling. Don't get into one of those boiler rooms selling shares to people overseas. Don't do that, whatever you do. That's not a get-rich scheme. That's a scam. Brian, what's happened to your sound?
Oh, that's all right. I'm
Sound,
just
Brian.
yeah, okay. So I just wanted to sort of see what we've been. So we've actually peaked at 46 viewers.
Yeah, it was a good
47,
topic.
40,
Good topic.
47 viewers so far. It's one of the best streams we've done for quite some time. It just took me all that time just to get the bloody picture up.
Bad ties tend to be. I love the shit part crew, Stephen.
But as I said, we seem to have a sort of a good. This is what we need to be doing. We need to be sort of catering more to our audience. I know people want to come and hear me have a rant every so often. We'll try to do a rant once every 4 weeks or something like. Once a month we'll have a rant session. But I think people really do want to sort of interact and find out some inside story, inside goss. Now we've been playing with a couple of other formats, which at the moment looks like we're going to be doing offline so we can edit it, but again it's more the chat style, between 2, 3 or 4 people having sort of like a video conference chat about different topics. We've done some tests of this the other day. We've got a format we would like to work on. I've got to do some branding on it. It's going to be part of our Bangkok Insider series, talking about everything to do with Thailand. But it's just like we're doing here, backwards and forwards, where you're joining on. These will be sort of done offline. They'll be sort of 10 to 15 minute pieces, about a particular subject. So easy to watch. But again, sort of, we could even bring that format into here. We have got a way we can actually bring these people on, and that's not with Streamlabs. It's going to be with our Discord. We can bring other people into the chat screen, and you can actually see their mug shots and see them talking at the same time, and we can have a chat while you guys interact with the whole thing as the audience. So that's something that we could probably be doing as well. These are just sort of where we're going with the channel. We're now things are starting to get back to normal. I'm looking for trying to branch away from the typical, again, sort of Stephen's sort of been dissing some of the Thai vloggers. We don't want to diss any of them with their idiosyncrasies.
I do.
You do. I don't. And I'm not going to get matching T-shirts.
We'll just
People
go
who live
in
in
here.
glass houses should not throw
We'll
stones.
just
That's
go
it.
in here. We'll try some scrambled eggs on toast. Now, what you get with that is an orange juice, and then what we
So that's going to get. This is going to get me some hate. See, we don't want to. I don't want to hate any. Like you're over here. Like you choose to come to Thailand.
I've had enough.
You choose to come to Thailand to get away from everything else, and quite invariably you get stuck in this rut of having having to deal with the haters that have one particular hate streak, that hate the fact that you've managed to get out of the the indentured servitude of the JOB, which is being just over broke.
Yeah, I can't wait to buy matching T-shirts.
You can't buy matching T-shirts.
What you can do, pass it out to your motorcycle taxi driver so that you look coordinated.
Yeah, there's no limits to what you can do with this concept. I mean,
Well, we've been
Never
wearing,
cool.
me and Shanya have been wearing matching
We
colours for
all
the
live
last 2
happily
days.
ever after.
I'll stop it. You're not going to do that.
Matching colours because we're in mourning, right? The family's in mourning, so we're.
Oh, that's fair enough.
so we're doing the black thing. We do that for 3 days. I'm not doing
It was
it
her
today.
grandfather, wasn't it? Her grandfather.
It was
passed, wasn't
grandfather's grandfather on father's side. Yeah, so father's father. Yeah, so Chanya's
Everybody's getting onto this matching T-shirts now. John says, "Go for matching T-shirts and 100 viewers guaranteed."
matching
I sell your
G-strings.
T-shirt only $250 US.
Go for matching G-strings. There we go. Not going to go there.
Know how to make a small fortune. Start with a large fortune and get divorced, says Del.
Well, that's how it happens in the West, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm not even sure how to.
Divorce your wife.
This is something I'm
Be
totally not familiar with in the Thai divorce settlement situation. How does that work? You know, I never hear of an alimony here in Thailand, or even discussed in any sort of
No,
way,
they
shape,
just
or
keep.
form.
No, that's because they just keep the lot. You lose it all.
But
There's nothing to discuss. It's a mute point.
it's a moot point. Maybe that's how it works. You know, if you get married and divorced, the wife takes everything. I don't know how the system works of it. That'd be an interesting exploration if we got some people
Let
over
me
here.
simplify it for you. You get fuck all, and they get everything.
Yeah, well, you know, that's the thing. That's maybe how it works for some people.
That is how it works, Warren.
Yeah,
Entirely. It's pretty simple.
Australia's in for a rocky road in regards to maybe they'll sell the bridge and to overseas interests and sell everything else. Sell everything.
Siam's talking about matching.
Johnny Siam, how you doing? Anybody we met, travelling man.
It's annoying.
Travelling man, just make sure I give the viewers a shout out that's come on the channel, or whoever's commenting on the stream. Of course, there's a lot more people out there watching the stream than are actually commenting, so we'd always like to hear from them as well.
Mainly people from Tasmania that wear the matching T-shirts.
Is that right? We haven't had Stephen on today yet, so maybe he's busy
Why are
doing
you picking
something.
on Stephen for?
No, the other Stephen. Yeah, Stephen Clark.
Well,
My mate
okay.
became a millionaire from gambling. Before that, he was a billionaire. That's right. Yeah, gambling. Yep. There's one way to get rich and get poor very quickly. In my divorce,
the wife. Yeah.
left me the fridge. It had all the bills stuck to it.
That's good. Della's getting really witty.
That's right. He's taken your seat there. That's what we like to hear.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, so let's see if we can get a conclusion. So, in backing to our experts growing old gracefully, or reliving the youth in Thailand. Right. So, okay. So let's start with the bullet points. Tattoos. I think if you haven't got tattoos already, then tattoos are a must if you come to Thailand. You cannot live in Thailand without tattoos. I still want to get a sleeve done.
War stories.
I still want to get a sleeve or two, but Shanya's having a bit of an issue with that.
I used to be in the SAS. Look at my tattoo.
Girlfriends. Well, if you're single and come to Thailand, you're going to have many of those, right? If you're going to live on the edge, right? But ideally, settling down for one girl might be the way to go. Break the mold. Recklessness. Well, again, reckless. I don't. Well, apart from the motorcycle riding, but they go hand in hand. But recklessness. You learn to ride a bike before you come over here. That would be a good starting point. Bill Simpson, he finally made it.
Marry the Minoy.
This language. Look, I keep on insisting the fact that I need to learn more Thai. I've got plenty of material to learn from, but again, it just gets down to the fact that I'd rather play video games. Other people sort of rather sit at a bar. It's up to personal choice there. And we got Sid C joining us. Lol, I really started listening once the T-shirt came into play. You know, I'm going to have to. I'm going to have to do this.
Video games,
We are going to go and have to get matching
Destroy the
T-shirts.
Thai language.
We're going to go and have to get just for one video. We're going to have to do a matching T-shirt
No, you
video.
better not. I'll turn it off. I won't watch it. And then put your ringtone on at the same time. Ring 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 ring.
But again, one of the things coming over here instead of looking at the retirement scheme, you might come here for with modest expectations, but right, you're going to get here and you're going to find out, like, you only get a small snapshot in the whole YouTubing scene of what Thailand's like. Living on the street, living in Thai society, everything is going to become a new experience. And if that's something that drives your life, you are going to find yourself then. It's like a dopamine hit. It's like
and
cigarettes.
Also, you will lose all of your hair when you come to live in Thailand.
It's like a dopamine. It's like a dopamine hit, and you are going to crave more of these new experiences, right? This is where the forever tourist issue comes in, right? Thailand has got so much history to explore, and although you've seen one Thai temple, you've seen them all. Every Thai temple is unique. If it's something that really sort of floats your boat, you're looking at the architecture, look at the way they build. Like once you know a bit of the language and listening to the chanting and things like that, I quite often get taken away in little sort of tangential thought processes when I go to temple. That's why I don't video, because I actually have a bit of a spiritual connection to them, and I don't really feel the need to actually put videos in the vlogs these days. Mind you, I've done a few, but the other reason is you don't get views. People in the West aren't concerned. It's
I get bored shitless by temples. I'm the opposite.
Yeah.
I lived in a monastery for 6 weeks in Burma and lived with the monks there.
Yeah.
That cemented to me that I hate temples. I really, 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 really
Well,
find
that's
them
because
boring.
you've been there and gotten this matching T-shirt.
And
That's
we all
right.
had to wear robes and the same matching robes and things like that. I couldn't do it.
Right. And of course, the other thing is, like, if you're going to come over here, you've got to seriously consider the whole YouTubing aspect. Are you going to be a tuber? Right?
Don't be one.
Well,
Don't be one.
Stephen says he's
Don't
going to
be.
come here and he's going to start his YouTube channel. I've been telling him he
Yeah,
still
I
needs
will.
to start his
Yeah.
YouTube channel before he
what
gets
you
here.
do.
And Oggie's going to start one. So it's like it's a prerequisite. If you're not going to have what they call a graceful retirement here, you're going to have to YouTube. That's it. That's the story.
Yeah, you get a big room and you sit there vlogging each other.
Vlogging each other. Is that right?
Self-vlogging.
Jorgen's just put in an order for matching T-shirts. Okay.
Used to be called circle jerking, but now it's called vlogging each other. Vloggers, vloggers.
I thought they called that an Alaskan circle jerk.
Yes, John V's actually brought up a good point, and I've actually heard these and actually talked to people who have actually had an issue with the Thailand weather. It's okay because most people come during the off season, or not the dry season or the cool season. That's your November through to February, and it's actually very pleasant living in Thailand. But the weather can be rather off-putting for a lot of people, especially if you lived in the colder climates. You can find that the continual hot can just become too much for most people, or for some people, and they leave because they can't handle the weather. I
lost a lot of weight. I lose a lot of weight in Thailand. I really do. I just sweat it all out constantly every day.
Yeah, and I don't sort of say, maybe because of the fact that I wear the hat most of the time, and that does cover the brow, so it does get moist under the brow, but I don't perspire like I've seen some Farang here. They walk 100 feet, in the air conditioning, and then they've worked up a sweat. And that's no joke. I've seen Farang here in shopping malls, right, and they've been in there for half an hour, and they still managing to perspire. They are so unconditioned to the weather, and it can really be a sort of an off-putting thing.
Doesn't help having half a gallon of beer though before you do it.
That's one of the reasons that makes it a bit difficult. And of course, the other thing is, our fitness. Are we ever going to get fit living here in Thailand? We've got access.
No, basically. No.
We've got access to gyms and everything else around the place, and nobody ever goes to them. They become.
Don't join a gym. That doesn't work.
That's just money after money. That's good beer money going to waste.
Oh, yeah, I can't even see the point of that in the West. Why would you join a gym? Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And of course,
the other donation, you never go back. You never use that shit in there.
The other point that I did, retirement. What's that? So I think another thing is coming here to live in Thailand is just breaking the mold. It doesn't have to be retirement specifically. If you can find a way to fund a lifestyle here, as I said, in the case of 1940s situation, you don't have to be 50 or older, right, to come here. It's just if you can afford the lifestyle at 100,000 baht a year to get that visa, it could be, retirement. What's that shit? Break the mold, get out of the rut, get out of the thing. If you've got enough money to support yourself, couple of $1,000 a month, if you can put that together as a sideline passive income, and your 100,000 baht every year to maintain that visa. What is retirement? Come and live in a lovely lifestyle here. Which is effectively, I don't think about the age. Like, I might be 59, but I think it makes you younger.
How
59. It feels like 49, 39. That's right. Age becomes a secondary sort of thinking process. I don't find that the age is really comes into anything. I get to do all the things I want to do. I get to spend, as much time as I can. Well, my girl, she works now. I'm thinking of doing some things, to, keep myself busy. But again, it's, just the gaming. The gaming seems to be sort of a nice avenue, but they want you to play the ones that the games that rank are the games that sort of, the games I don't really want to play much. Bike riding, I'd love to do more riding. When I say bike riding, I mean one with the motor in it.
Yeah, he's talking about motorbikes.
Bicycle. No, I wouldn't get on a push bike. That seems like work. But motorbike riding is something that I find really enjoyable. But I want to ride during the week, and I'd like to ride with somebody. That was
Warren's idea of exercise is stand on an escalator.
Yeah. Reason why I bought the two bikes was, the bike for Chanya as well, is the fact that, the plans were to get out and ride at least once a week. But, she's been sort of totally uninterested in that lately. Maybe we should sell that motorcycle, because it seems like B uses it more than she does. Such is life.
You got to buy the Honda now, the 125 Honda. That's the one.
Well, we did. That's the one she takes to work, well, not the Honda. It's the Honda Fino, the hybrid.
Yeah, it's a big bloody. She's got a huge bike, hasn't she?
What, the 650?
That's huge.
It's a big bike. Yeah, it's a racing bike.
Is that more powerful than yours or not? Same.
Well, it's quicker off the mark. It's a 4-cylinder. It's designed as a sports bike, not a cruiser. So
why isn't she riding it as much?
Because the fact that she works, and when she's got the day off, the last thing she wants to do is go for a ride.
Ride a bike. Okay. So she takes that bike to work every day. Okay.
She takes the Honda Fino to work. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, the smaller one. All right.
Hasip Gal. Hey, it's just leave me alone. No, it's a Sisip Gal. I'm only 49.
You're Hasip Gal. We go ha.
Well, we'd be talking about push bikes. John V is $3,000 for a push bike. Is that what it is for a decent push bike? I'd rather spend that on. I can get a Honda Click for $3,000 here. That's got a motor.
What
on it,
about
I
an
can push
electric
it.
bike? Get an electric bike with a lithium battery.
Johnny say, Warren, do soy tours with a what is it? Pedaxi? I don't even know what that word is.
A petty taxi.
Petty taxi.
It's like a Flintstone taxi. You got your feet go through the floor and you just.
Oh, petty taxi. Yeah. Interesting. Never heard of a petty taxi, but yeah, I've actually you're talking the rickshaws. I've seen the rickshaws down in some quarters of I think Bang Pa. I've sort of seen there's an area there that they still have the push bike rickshaw jalopies that you can get around in. They don't see them out here though. John V, you can start riding by yourself, but again, it's just. It's just something about bike riding. I like to ride. I like the company of riding with people. The riding alone, that might come a few years from now when I've got a bit more of a grasp of the language and do more of the.
Riding in Bangkok's not really ideal.
What is it? What was that guy? The guy that did the riding? Was it?
Jurian rider.
No, not Jurian rider. I'm talking about the one.
Rides for Kicks.
Right, not him. The other one.
Andy. There's another one. The old guy. Yeah. Right.
No, that's another guy. That's trying to think of him.
Chuck does a lot of bike riding.
Yeah, he does a lot of push bike riding. Yeah. But yeah, again, it's I enjoy doing what I'm doing. Maybe I'll lose my enjoyment of doing what I do, and then I'll start doing other things. There's just, quite honestly, for all the things I'd like to do, there is not enough time in the week. That's what it's got down to. Retirement, what's that? I can't be bothered retiring. I can sort of see these old bones have probably got another good 10 years. Right? As soon as Shonda lets me get my full length sleeve tattoos, that'll be something we'll vlog on that one. We'll get that's usually a 2 to 3 day job to get a full sleeve done. I just got to go to find a good artist. That's the only thing that's really stopping me. It's not a matter of money. It's just that I just haven't found a good artist yet. A friend of mine has mentioned. Yeah, a friend of mine has mentioned a good tattoo artist. It's in Soy 81 or around that area. I just don't know where he is, and that friend of mine, I'd like them to take me along for the introduction and probably help with the language, because the fact that I'm going to make sure we can explain exactly what we want done, and they don't go off in some sort of Thai motif, which I don't really want to get a Thai motif style tattoo. So some of the things I've got to look forward to.
It's opposite the t-shirt shop, isn't it? It's opposite the t-shirt.
I don't know, yeah, but yeah. So maybe when we're out at the markets and we see some matching t-shirts with a good slogan. I'll get me and Chanya one just to piss somebody off. Question: do you or others ever give yourself self time where you just watch, switch off people, distractions, go for a walk? Well, my version of switching off is just putting on binge watching some TV series. That's normally my switch off time. But go for walks, well, there's really very little places to go for walks. We don't have parks like we do in Australia, where you can go, go and find that alone time. You're always around people here in Thailand. We got a market up there we've talked about numerous times, the Trombody Market or Sanam Luang Song. There is actually a park beside that. We did a video from there and we get a couple of shots, and there's nobody in the park. Thais just don't go to parks. That's it. It's just they've got their life to lead, and parks just don't fit into that lifestyle. And the only people we saw in that park the day we were there was looked like an older Farang with his young Thai bride doing wedding photos. That was no joke. It was
a couple of nice parks on Sukhumvit, and you got Lumpini Park. That's not bad.
yeah, like I think when a couple of
You've got to search for them though.
yeah, there's well, I don't have to bring the map up. There's Lumpini Park. There's the park next to the Queen Sirrit building, and I've walked around them, but again, are they alone time places? I don't know. Maybe they could be. I can find.
It's hard to relax because it's so hot.
Yeah, it's much easier to relax, with the air conditioner on, just vegging out, watching some sort of science fiction or some sort of fantasy TV sort of series, or even a movie.
Well, just put up a green screen and a shot of a park, and then just walk around the back of it.
Was it nice neck tattoo? Do I want a neck tattoo? No, I think there's people who tattoo their faces and necks. I think they're a special breed. There's
They're millennials. They're millennials.
Cholos.
What was that, Augie?
Cholos.
Cholos.
Yep.
What's a cholo?
Mexican gang members.
Oh, is that what they are? Is it?
Yeah.
There's
You're always on their turf.
I've seen something on the YouTube, on not YouTube, on Facebook. There's the comedy club, and there's this one comedian that has the face tattoos, and he's often a rant and a comedy sketch about his tattoos. He says, if anybody ever wants to get a face tattoo, no, don't do it.
No, not a good idea.
But yeah, I can go for a drive out in the river around the rice fields, different.
See you, Mr. Mitch.
Yeah, so obviously there's riding, driving, the alone time. That's sort of more thing. Is you've got the comfort of an air conditioner, or just the breeze going through your jacket. Mr. Mitch is off. Okay, well we hit our 2-hour mark, so we should think about a wrap up. And again, it's going to come back to the audience. Is this a sort of video or the interaction, the sort of live streaming that you feel comfortable doing? Again, we're going to get better at sort of keeping up with the chat and making sure that we're addressing people's concerns and keep a focus on
most of them.
Yeah, I think
Read most of them, yeah.
It's very hard to. It's read in the chat screen. It's very hard to know what something is definitely sort of directed at us, and not just chat amongst yourselves.
It's all right, Warren. You did well.
Yeah, just as we keep us the saying, if you do the @ symbol and then start typing a person's name in, it'll actually it'll highlight something as referencing me. It puts up in Dropbox and then it just stands out in the crowd. Or again, hit that super chat. To ask a question, hit the super chat if you really want to stand out from the rest of the throng of the crowd of people chatting. That's one thing. It's a couple of bucks. Price of a cup of coffee always stands out just like that. And it's always welcome. And so as I said, Dallo does his usual $2.99. It's always like Dallo. You got to answer this question. Do you actually type in $2.99, or do you put in $3 and then somehow YouTube rounds it down to $2.99 with an exchange conversion or something? It just always.
He's a good man to have. It's a good group. This group. We've got a lot of good people on here.
It's always unique. Yeah, it's always. I've always wondered whether it's actually typing in the $2.99, or is it YouTube taking a cent off, or some sort of back cross conversion of the dollar to the US and then the US back to the dollar or something. I've always wondered. You did well. Even didn't go off on a tangent. Yeah, well, that's the thing, because we've got some bullet points, and I keep on looking at them to make sure I stay on track.
That's why I interrupt him, to keep him on track.
Yeah, the bullet points are actually down in the description box below as well. But it would be great to have more people coming in and interacting on the voice, right, rather than me talking. Because usually by 2 hours, I'm usually talked out. That's why I can't go any longer. Stephen does a good job. Blues just sits there and he just likes to listen to the whole thing in the background and watch it. I'm sure he gets all the highlights.
Actually, Blue doesn't like to sit in the background. Warren's just muted him. That's all.
John V, $299 million. Yeah, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? Warren, just post in advance. We can have same and matching. Oh, right, post in advance, same and matching t-shirts. Yeah.
We can't get away from it now. People won't sleep tonight. They'll be thinking of matching t-shirts.
Well, there is actually something else coming on the channel, and I've just got to get my finger out and finish it. There is, like we have our Patreons, who, those dedicated followers. YouTube have also bring in a subscription model, which is something that's available to me. The reason I haven't turned it on, I just haven't done the introduction video to explain it to the people who want to be members. There's 2 videos I need to do, and again, it's just setting and what to say and everything else. And I've got everything else all ready to turn on. It goes through an
Just
approval
don't try
process.
and sell us mugs, hats, and t-shirts.
But once that happens, you get a special set of what do you call it, emojis that you can put into the chat channel, and you also your name then stands out as being a follower, as a patron, or what do they call it? What do they call them on YouTube? They call them something or other else. Not patrons. Members.
Patreon.
They're calling them members. So you
Yeah.
do stand out from the chat crowd, and again, that'll also get you noticed on these live streams. If you want to ask questions. But yes, that's something that's coming. I just got to get my finger. I know there's one of the. I've been following this guy on Facebook. He's got his Facebook page called.
No names.
It's called Thailand Vloggers. I think that's what he goes by. And he's actually posting into Facebook feed pretty much all the Thailand vloggers. But he's been having this issue about the monetization. He goes off on these little tangents. He says he had a dig at a few people like Simon and a few others about their constant scamming for money. Well, I wouldn't say scamming for money. Like, it's an option that if you've got, everybody's got. I've got no problem. If people are willing to give you money, then people are willing to give you money, right?
Why not go the other way, Warren? Why not start donating money to the viewers?
Well, if I could, I would. As I said, when you come over here, I'll buy your beer.
It's like when you go to what I did in street shopping. I used to bargain them up instead of down. They'd say 20 baht. I'd say I'll give you 100. No, 20 baht. Oh, 100. Okay.
20 baht, 20 baht. I'll give you 100.
But I said, when you do come over here, that's what I do. I buy you drinks, and we go places and do things. But that's all I can do in return. There's no facility to
I'll shout you on the local buses.
Well, yeah,
you can pay for the taxis.
Right, that's right.
Then,
yeah. Well, how does that work? So the taxi 85 baht, 15 baht on the bus. I think I lose out on that one.
That's when I shout when it's cheap.
Is that right? Right. You're going to do the
the
Stephen Clark. You're going to do the Stephen Clark when it's his show.
I see. I wouldn't have mentioned that. I would have said that.
He'll go and buy the beer at the 7-Eleven. He's not here to defend himself, so there you go.
But then I'll go one better. I'll find a happy hour at 7-Eleven.
Yeah. Anyhow, let's wind this thing down. Any quick questions you got before we sort of finish the day out?
We can go to 7-Eleven, and what we can do is we can look through to see what's the best value for the Thai meals. Now,
pets in Thailand.
Here's one here that I found. Now that looks like a Western dish, doesn't it? Well, let's sit down and eat that and bore the shit out of the viewers for 5 minutes. Okay.
Pets in Thailand. That's an interesting subject as well that we could probably definitely look at, because I might even do some footage of the markets and the pet stores just as a background. I'll do a walk around one of those pet stores up at Tronbury, and we'll just have that sort of going off in the background, giving
you
an idea.
You did a couple of videos on dogs and animals, didn't you? They were quite good.
We've done some bits and pieces, but let's talk about owning pets in Thailand, because it is quite a varied subject, and there's the pros and the cons sort of side. Like I said, we've got we've got a live-in cat now that
T19 photo.
she's had two. She had 4 kittens. 2 of them have died or eaten by a snake, or I don't know how. She had 4. Now she's only got 2. I don't know what happened there. Maybe they had died, and I'm not quite sure how these feral cats work.
No, they had Chinese neighbours.
But yeah, so two of the kittens are still there. So do we have pets? No, but we got a cat has owned our house. If you know what I mean. You know what cats are like. We're just the slaves that feed them. But yeah,
that's why you eat them.
But is there something just on that quick subject? Pet food. Do you buy them pet food? It's actually cheaper to go out in the street, right, and buy what they call raw fish. It's actually cheaper for feeding your cat than it is to buy pet food.
Do they eat the dried fish?
Well, I bought some what they call the kibble, the meow kibble. Won't touch that stuff. She'll eat the fish, but the kibble is if she's really hungry. She'll go off and forage somewhere else for live game, I'm sure. But they're not into it. But I said the price of raw fish. We get 9 of these little I don't know what type of fish it's called. They're about maybe 6 inches long. They actually on the street for fish. We've talked about, but people actually buy that because the people who can't afford the big fish, they buy the small fish and take them home and they fry them up. But they said it's people who are not well to do. That's good protein for them. But as I said, it's also a price that it's cheaper to buy that fish. You buy them. Like there's a little girl. There's an old lady that's got them on the street there, and there's 13 baht for 3 of these fish. So what's that? So it's just over 4 baht
39.
each. So it's 4 baht each for these fish. They're like big sardines. I don't know what they call them. But so I buy. I don't know what they're called. I've got to find out what they're called. But yeah, so buy 9 of those fish, and that's 39 baht. It keeps a Thai local employed. Keeps food on her table. Doesn't go to the mass food manufacturers. And quite frankly, the live-in cat turned her nose up at that shit. When I bought her a can of that stuff, canned food, canned food, get real, give me the real fish, But yeah, I
Just
suppose
give what you eat.
it might be a good.
What you eat. That's all.
It might be a good subject to talk about. Yeah. So, yes, and explain how people go about keeping them or different options. Very, very varied, expanded topic. I know. I pets in cages. I don't know how you could keep a pet here. I said the cat comes and goes as it pleases, but a dog, the soy dogs, they roam up and down, and if you've got a nice little Pomeranian, and what do you do with your Pomeranian? There's no yard. Anyway, let's talk about that. It's a good subject, and
Australia's so regulated now. The pets wear face masks.
yeah. But I might do some photo shoot with that in mind, and sort of get a collection of different things that I've seen around here to sort of be talking subjects. But yeah, so it's something we can talk about. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up.
How many viewers did you have today? Was this a big number today?
What did we get at? What we get? So
What was the top?
we peaked at 47.
That's the highest that you've ever had, I think.
No,
So
I
your
think
ambition for next week is 50. You want 50?
yeah. We have had higher, but that was before we did this sort of format. We are dropping off now because it's past the 2-hour mark. But we took a bit of climbing up to the first hour. I got to the peak there at on the hour mark, which is I think just the different people coming and going, and then we sort of pretty much sustained in an average of 35 for the second half of the hour. So that's a good numbers. I quite enjoy that. Things are shaping up.
I think it was a good topic because it forces people to contemplate how they want to live when they get to Thailand.
Yeah, and they can throw a whole bunch of what ifs, and things like that. Anyway, I'm going to
up
hit.
to you.
I'm going to. Yeah, so we'll stick around and talk about this after. That's one of the things with the Discord. If you come onto the Discord, we do go on and talk a little bit longer after the live stream.
Here's a topic. Could you live in Thailand without a 7-Eleven? Could you actually survive?
That was a very short topic. No.
Well, there you go. Says it all, really, doesn't it?
That's it. You could not live in Thailand, or Farang could not live in Thailand without a 7-Eleven.
You couldn't, could you? You wouldn't be able to survive.
Why not?
Well, you couldn't. There's just no way. That's why
I
they
don't
got
shop
5 or 6
7-Eleven as it is now. Why would I want to shop at
Oh,
7-Eleven?
you see, you will if you go to Thailand. You'll start shopping at 7-Eleven, and you'll wear matching T-shirts and all that sort of shit.
No, I don't wear T-shirts.
No, you will when you get there, Oggy. Trust me.
Okay, I've put it in there. I've put it in there as a possible soft.
I was a joke, Warren. I wasn't serious.
No. I actually think it's something. A Farang could not live in Thailand without 7-Eleven. That
I
could be.
could,
A,
yeah.
Or
I couldn't
McDonald's.
survive.
well, it just takes it onto that whole Western
I could
stuff.
live without McDonald's. I could live without McDonald's, but 7-Eleven, no, I couldn't survive.
Discord, John. The Discord link is down below in the description box. If you want to
Mind you, I
jump
think
on.
the McDonald's are better in Thailand than they are in the West. They're
No,
more. They still have.
They couldn't be any worse.
No, they're a lot better. They put a lot of care into the burgers, and they look like the pictures on the wall. You know.
Yeah. But anyway, look, I think that's the one. That might be the topic for next week. If Farang could not live in Thailand without 7-Eleven, it's going to. If we're going to branch around into the whole consumerist.
Yeah. What
consumerism
couldn't you
thing.
live without? What
Yeah.
couldn't you live without in Thailand?
Yeah.
What couldn't you live? Could you live without temples?
But again, it's just along that. So that's where we're going to talk about next week. So let's give you a bit of a heads up. Mark it in your calendar, and we'll catch up with you guys next week, and we'll elaborate on that whole subject and see what we can come up
Should we
with.
ban happy hour?
We'll think of a few more before.
Should we ban Stevens?
Should we
Should
ban
we
Stephen?
ban happy hours?
Can we mute Stephen?
Should
Yeah.
happy hours be banned?
Yeah. I'm going to shut it up now, and shut it off now, and give them the closing screen, and we'll stick around and we'll continue to talk a bit later
The
on.
government official said to me, "We're banning happy hour." I said, "Oh, come on!"
Yeah.
And why is the happy hour always 2 hours long? That's what I want to know.
Happy hour in Thailand, it can
Exactly.
go for 6 hours.
Well, mine are normally 20 seconds.
Right. Anyway, I'm hitting the closing screen, so I'm out of here. Peace out, guys. We'll see you next time. Hit that like, hit the subscribe. Catch you again next time.
Downhill quickly. Get off.
Bye for now.
Cue the song and get off.
And we're cueing the song. Don't forget to follow us. Special thanks to all our Patreons and all our Super Chat givers. Show your support on Patreon, PayPal, share, like, subscribe, comment. Check out these videos. Check out these playlists. You might enjoy this one. Bye for now.